Here we are with the PS5, as you guys can clearly see right here, and we have the LG C1. And today I'm going to be reviewing the AI Gen 4 picture processing, whatever you want to call it, Pro. It's like technically the Gen 4 AI Picture Pro, whatever. They name these things really stupid every year, but I'm going to be reviewing LG's picture processing for the C1 and letting you know how it stacks up to something like the A90J and other TVs I saw this year in 2020, 2021 rather. I swear it feels like we're still in the same year because nothing has changed. But when you talk about the LG C1, there are a couple things that really help it stand out from things like even the C10. Now, I'm shooting this on my Samsung Galaxy S9 cell phone because I truly believe that even on a cell phone, you can see the difference and just how realistic and beautiful this TV looks. Now, the first thing I want to tell you is when you go into your settings options, under the general tab, you have the AI service. This is the most important thing. I see people turning off AI Picture Pro. This is the most egregious error anyone with an LG C1 could possibly make because this is the brains of your television. This is that sauce, and this is what you are ultimately paying for. By toggling on AI Picture Pro, you are taking your TV to the absolute next level, and it looks incredible. Like, truly breathtaking stuff starts happening. Now, the AI brightness is not necessary. You can always disable that because it's just an ambient light sensor. This is more for those who aren't really experienced with how to set the brightness levels, but ultimately speaking, you don't really need it. Now, the auto genre scene selection, depending on the way you set up your TV, tends to adjust colors, and it looks at the way like tonalities of skin tone should be. It kind of does a little bit to contrast, not a lot. It's mostly basically like a color boosting augment when needed. So sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. So you have to be creative when you use it. But again, these are your main bread and butter type things. AI Sound Pro, that's not really my favorite thing because I found that when you turn off AI Sound Pro, the regular sound is honestly just as good as the AI sound. So I don't really find myself running to use the AI sound options more. I mean, you can select it. It makes things louder and more like, I guess, room filling, I guess, like kind of giving a surround sound effect. But it's not necessary all the time, especially when it's nighttime and maybe you're in a smaller environment like I am here. So again, these are what the whole Gen 4 processing suite is about. Not very different on the surface from the C10, but there's a lot that changed. The first thing is that the sound is a lot better coming from the C10. The sound is clearer, it's richer, there are a lot more distinguishable notes in the treble. I can't really play the full extent of the audio here in Gran Turismo because obviously YouTube copyright and all that nonsense, but you guys can test that out and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Again, when we talk about color, the genre scene selection is just going to boost that color a bit, but the big superstar is the AI Picture Pro itself. Do not turn that off. I can't stress that enough because it is absolutely incredible. What I'll do is exit out here and show you guys just this little reel going. And again, I'm shooting this using a cell phone, so there is no room for any kind of trickery or special effects or anything. This is about as crappy of an image sensor as you could possibly find on the market. And I'm doing this to show you that even on a bad cell phone camera, look at how beautiful this picture is, how realistic it looks, how incredible it looks. Now, a lot of that is going to be contributed to obviously proper settings and things that I have. And if you want those settings, you can become a channel member. But also, we are on the PlayStation 5 and Gran Turismo does look really good on PS5 as well. So I think that's one of the things you have to factor in too. But honestly, I've played these same games on other TVs that I've owned, and what LG is doing here is truly special. If you have an LG C10 and you're wondering maybe should you upgrade or not, what is the big difference between the two? The biggest difference is going to be clarity. The clarity and depth coming out of the new Gen 4 processor this year is insane. It's so much more clear that it's almost like switching off a blur filter on your C10 and really showing you the picture you were supposed to have from day one. I have said it many times. You watch any review I did on the C10, it was basically the same thing. It's like it's not where it needs to be, and only after patches did it get there. But out the gate, the LG C1 is just hitting so tremendously hard that I can't deny it, and it just takes my breath away literally every single time. If you wanted a review on whether or not this Gen 4 processing chip is the real deal, it is. It upscales wonderfully. I like watching a lot of 1080p movies. That's huge for me. 1080p Blu-rays, streaming 1080. I mean, really, even lower sources like 720p, it handles things really well. It has a smooth gradation feature. You guys know how wonderful that is when dealing with wider color spaces like BT 2020. And again, I think this processing chip is the best LG has ever created. And I think, honestly speaking, if you really want the best out of a TV this year, you're going to get yourself an LG C1 and enable the AI Picture Pro slash, their Gen 4 or Alpha 9 processing chipset. I really hope this video finds you guys well. If you have questions specifically about what this processor is all about, let me know and I'll answer whatever I can for you guys. HDR is on point, SDR is on point, and it's a really, truly a spectacular image quality. So I give it a 10 out of 10. It's a fantastic processor that more than competes with what Sony is offering on the market right now, and I think you'll be very happy. And they didn't have to say anything about cognitive anything to pull that off either. So yeah, just saying. But that being said, thank you guys again so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.